Hello everyone! In this video, we'll go over the Vocabulary Workshop Level Orange Unit 2 words. You can follow along at home using your book. Let's get started! Our first word is annual. Annual is an adjective and it means coming each year, once a year, lasting a year. So something that is annual happens every year or it goes on for 1 year. For example, the sentence says, the annual class picnic will be the last day of school. So in this sentence, there is a class that's going on a picnic, and this picnic is annual. That means it happens one time each year. It comes every year, one time a year. Another example would be if you and your family always go on a vacation in June, then you can say we go on an annual family trip every summer because it happens one time a year and it happens every year. Or another example would be the annual membership lets you visit the museum all year long. So sometimes for museums or aquariums, you can buy a membership that lets you visit that place for a certain time, usually a year, so we can call it an annual membership. A synonym is yearly, and there are no antonyms for this word. Annual can also be used as a noun, and this time it means a book or magazine that comes out once a year. So an example would be this comic book here about Spider-Man. This is an annual book. It comes out once a year, so people can get this one time a year. Here's another example. This book from Disney is an annual. It's for 2005. This is the year that it came out. So this book will come out one time a year. The other definition says, a plant that lives or lasts for just one growing season. So there are some plants that when you plant them, they will grow one time and then that's it. You need to plant it again the next year if you want to see the flowers again. So we can say they are annual. So for this, I could make a sentence. We planted marigolds, but they're annuals, so they won't grow back next year. Or we planted sunflowers as well. You could say that one too. The sample sentence says, one of my poems appeared in the 2010 Poetry Annual. So in this sentence, there is a poetry annual. It's a book about poetry that comes out every year. And the person who made this sentence said one of their poems was in this book. Synonyms are yearbook, and there are no antonyms for this word. So again, we can use annual as an adjective to talk about something that comes each year or one time a year, or we can use it as a noun to talk about a book or magazine that comes out once a year or a kind of plant or flower that only grows for one time. Our next word is basic. Basic is an adjective and it's having to do with the main or starting point of something. So let's break that down by looking at the first part, the main point of something. So the sample sentence says, we understand the basic idea of the game. Imagine you're playing a game with your friend and you need to understand how to play the game. So in this sentence, they said they understand the basic idea or the main idea of how to do something. And basic can also be the starting point of something. That means if you want to do something, what are the basic things that you would need to do that thing that you want to do? For example, if you want to build something, then you would need some tools. And here are some basic tools that you might need, like a hammer. So I could say, you need basic tools to build the birdhouse. Or if you want to go camping, what is the starting things or the basic things that you might need if you want to go camping? Maybe you need a bag, some good shoes, a sleeping bag, and other basic supplies. So here we're using basic to mean the things you need to start something. Some synonyms are essential, primary, fundamental, and there are no antonyms for this word. And we can also use basic as a noun. Maybe you're more familiar with this definition. It's the key elements or parts of something. So you can think about it as the important things of something. For example, I learned the basics of addition in first grade. So when you learn how to add things for the first time, you are learning the basics. You're learning the most important things or the parts of how to do it. For example, if you want to add these apples to these apples, these red apples to these green apples, then you need to count each of them. So I can say I have 6 red apples and I have 4 green apples, and to add them, we would get 10 apples altogether. So this is the basics of addition. It's not too complicated. It's just the simple way to do it. I could say the same about when you're learning how to play soccer. I could say, before we could play soccer, the coach taught us the basics like kicking and passing. So in soccer, the key parts would be kicking the ball, knowing how to kick the ball, and maybe how to pass the ball to someone. So you need to learn those basics before you can play soccer. I could also say, let's review the basics of how to write a paragraph. We learned this in school. So to write the paragraph, you need your topic sentence, your 3 supporting ideas, and your conclusion or ending sentence. So those are the basic parts of a paragraph. And I could also say in art class, we started with the basics like drawing shapes and mixing colors. So those are the most important or key elements or the parts of how to do something. We call those the basics. Synonyms are essential, primary, and fundamental, and there are no antonyms for this word. Our next word is competition. Competition is a noun and it is trying to outdo others. So you are trying to win a game or a contest. For example, I'm planning to enter the kite flying competition. So in a competition, it's very much like a game or a contest that you want to be the best at. You want to outdo others. That means being the best. Here we have a tug-of-war competition where the 2 sides are trying to see who is the strongest. Are the girls the strongest or are the boys the strongest? They are having a competition. Here is the example from the sentence. We have a kite flying competition. So all of these people are flying a kite, maybe to see which kite can go the highest or can fly the longest or which kite looks the most beautiful when it's in the air. Another example of a competition might be a singing competition where different singers or bands are trying to show the judges that they are the best. They want to do better than the other people so they can win the competition. Some synonyms are rivalry, match, and test. An antonym is cooperation, because in a competition, usually you're not working together, you're working by yourself because you want to win. Sometimes you do work together, such as in tug-of-war. Our next word is contract. Contract is a noun and it is an agreement or understanding that can be enforced by law. A document that explains legal conditions. Let's look at the example first. Many people who buy computers also buy a service contract. So in this sentence, when someone buys a computer, they buy a service contract too with it. So it's like a document that says if your computer is broken, then you can bring it here within maybe 1 year or within 2 years, and we will fix it for you. So the contract is just the piece of paper that says the things that will happen and during what time they can happen. A contract is always between two different people, and everyone promises to do something. There are rules in this contract that they have to follow, and if they don't follow those rules, then they might have to either go to jail or maybe pay some money, pay a fine for breaking the rules. You might see a contract in your classroom sometimes. So here this class made a contract where all the students signed the contract by putting their handprints on it. And there are rules in the contract such as don't hurt your friends, respect each other, be quiet in the hallway. So these are the rules that the students have to follow. And if they break these rules, if they break the contract, then they might receive a punishment. Usually people sign a contract when they buy a very expensive or big things, like a house, they will sign a contract, or a car, then you will sign a contract. Or when you're starting a new job, then the people who are giving the job to you will ask you to sign a contract. That way you know what rules you have to follow, and the person you're working for also knows what they need to give you. So synonyms for contract are arrangement, deal, and pact. There are no antonyms for this word. This word can also be used as a verb, but we do say it a little bit differently. So here it's a contract, but here it's contract. Contract means to make or grow smaller. It is an action word. It can also mean to come down with as a sickness. So let's look at the example first. Some soft woods contract when they dry. So we know that contract means to become smaller. So wood, if it's wet, it usually expands. It gets bigger. And then when it dries, it can contract. And that might cause the wood to break like this, or sometimes to bend. A sponge also contracts when it gets dry. So here this video is going backwards, but you can see when the sponge is in water, it gets bigger. And then when it gets dry, it contracts. It becomes smaller. The second definition, to come down with as a sickness, just means getting sick. When you're getting sick, we can say that you contracted something. For example, she contracted a cold after playing in the rain. Or if you don't wash your hands, you might contract a virus. So it's kind of similar to getting sick. When you contract something, you get sick. Some synonyms are shrink, catch, and get. Antonyms are expand and enlarge. Our next word is dismiss. Dismiss is a verb and it means to send away or permit to leave. For example, our teacher will not dismiss the class until we are all quiet. When it's time to go home, usually your teacher has to dismiss you. That means the teacher has to say that you can leave. They can send you away to go home. That is dismiss. It also means to remove from a job. For example, if this person here is always late to their job, then the boss over here might dismiss them. For example, I can say, he was dismissed from his job for being late too many times. So now this person does not have a job anymore. And dismiss can also be to stop thinking about. So here you can see there are two people, and one of them is thinking about some scary things at night before bed, while the other person is thinking of some happy things like rainbows. So I can make a sentence by saying, I tried to dismiss the scary thoughts before bedtime. So you want to stop thinking, you want to dismiss scary thoughts before you go to sleep, because if you don't, then you might have a nightmare. And going back to this first definition, another example would be, the coach dismissed the team after practice. The coach said the team can go. So when something is dismissed, it can be sent away, it can go, or you can stop thinking about it. Some synonyms are reject, fire, drop, and discharge. This fire is not talking about the hot fire, it's talking about losing your job. Antonyms are hire, hold, consider, and employ. Our next word is neglect. Neglect is a verb and it means to hold back care or attention. To fail to follow through. For example, don't neglect your homework. When you're neglecting something, you're not paying attention. So this sentence is telling you to not pay attention to your homework. You can see this girl here is looking at her phone instead of doing her homework, so I can say she is neglecting her homework. Another thing you might neglect is a plant. For example, if you neglect to water the plant, then the plant can die, it can wilt, like this one here. Since neglect means that you're not paying attention to something, then animals and even children can also be neglected because they're not getting attention. So I can say the dog was neglected and looked hungry and dirty. So someone who has this dog did not take good care or did not give attention to the dog. The second definition, to fail to follow through, would be if you say that you're going to do something, like he said he was going to clean his room, but he neglected to clean the room for a whole week. So he didn't do what he said he was going to do. Synonyms are ignore, disregard, and overlook. And one antonym is pamper. Neglect can also be used as a noun, and it is a steady lack of care due to carelessness or laziness. So when something is not taken care of for a long time, so steady means something is happening for a long time, then we can call it neglect. So remember, we're using it as a noun now, not as a verb. The example says, our rose garden suffers from neglect. Let's say someone has a garden, but they don't take care of that garden. Then I can say it suffers from neglect. Basically, it means it has this thing, this neglect, which means it's not taken care of. Another example would be here. This is an old building. I can say the old building fell apart from years of neglect. So years of neglect means that for many years, for a long time, it was not paid attention to. Nobody took care of it, so it started to fall apart. And I could also say his grades dropped because of neglect in studying. So he didn't take care to study, thus his grades dropped. And remember, neglect is usually because someone does not care about something or because they're lazy and don't want to do it. A synonym is inattention and antonym is pamper. Our next word is obtain. Obtain is a verb and it means to get or gain through some effort. So when you work hard, you get this thing. The sentence says, customers can obtain rare coins in that shop. So in this sentence, we can get some special coins in the shop. Another example would be, he worked hard to obtain the gold medal in the race. So he got the gold medal because he ran really fast and worked really hard to become faster. I could also use obtain to say, she obtained supplies for the science project with her mom. So they went shopping to get the items that they needed or to obtain the items that they needed. Synonyms are acquire and gather. Antonyms are lose and forego. So when you think about obtain, you can just think about it as getting something. Our next word is portion. Portion is a noun and it is a section or piece, a part of the whole, or a serving of food. So for portion, we can think about it as a part of something, usually a smaller part of something big. The sample says, I'll have a small portion of soup. So maybe there is a big giant pot of soup and this person is just having a part of that soup, a smaller serving of the soup. Another example would be, we each got a portion of cake at the party. So there is one big cake for all the children at the party, but one person cannot eat the entire cake. It gets cut up into portions, into different little parts. And I could also say, he ate a large portion of spaghetti for dinner. So portion is still part, but now we're saying he had a large part of the spaghetti. You can see on his plate, there is a lot of spaghetti. So that is portion. It can be small, or it can be big, or it can just be a part of something. The synonyms are part, share, and helping. And one antonym is a whole. Our next word is recall. Recall is a verb and it means to bring back to mind, to ask, to return. For example, we recall our first vacation. So when you recall something, you're bringing it back to your mind. You're thinking about it. Maybe on the first vacation, it was raining every day. So they recall that it was raining every day on their first vacation. Another example would be, I can't recall where I put my keys. I can't bring it to my mind where I left it. So that is recall. And we can also use recall as to ask to return. So something is coming back. Usually we use this word when there is a problem with an item like a children's toy. Maybe this toy has a problem that can be dangerous for little kids, so the owner or the maker of this toy can recall it. They can tell people, please bring this toy back to the store and we will give you your money back because it's dangerous. So I can say the company recalled the toy because it was dangerous. And I can also use it when talking about asking a dog to come back to you. For example, he recalled the dog when it ran too far away. Some synonyms are remember and revoke. Antonyms are forget. We can also use recall as a noun, and it is the ability or act of remembering. For example, he had no recall of the story. It means he could not remember the story. Have you ever played a game like this one, a memory game, where you have to remember where the images that are the same are? So we can say this game tested our memory and recall skills. It tested our skill to remember where something is. Another example would be, he has great recall and can spell all the words we studied. So he has a good skill of remembering things. That is recall. Synonyms are memory and an antonym is forget. Our next word is sponsor. Sponsor is a noun and a sponsor is one who helps or takes responsibility for another person or group. Or a person or business that pays for an ad on radio or television. The example says, a generous sponsor paid for the new band uniforms. So again, a sponsor is a person. It can be a person or it can be a business. And this person or business gives money to help someone or some event. So in this sentence, there was a sponsor that paid some money for new uniforms. I could also say, our soccer team got new uniforms from a sponsor. So there was some person that, because they wanted to help the team or they liked the team, they gave some money so the team could have new things. That is a sponsor. And the second definition is a person or business that pays for an ad on radio or TV. Have you ever watched TV or watched a drama on TV, and at the end you might see something like this? So I can say, this drama is sponsored by Subway. That means this company, Subway, gives some money so that the people can make this TV show. That is a sponsor. Some synonyms are supporter, backer, and provider, and there are no antonyms for this word. We can also use it as a verb, so now it's to act as a sponsor to a group, person, or event. For example, many businesses sponsor the Special Olympics. So in this sentence, now our word sponsor is a verb that means they are giving money to help the event happen. So, for example, I can say, Coca-Cola sponsors the Special Olympics. Coca-Cola is the company that gives money so that we can have Special Olympics for people that have some disability. Sponsors always help with money, support, or by taking care of something. You can also sponsor someone if you want to help them. Another example would be, she sponsored the event by donating snacks and drinks. So someone gave some snacks and drinks to the event. They are supporting the event. They're helping it so that the event can happen. Whatever the event is. Maybe it's a kid's game or a play, for example. A synonym of this word is support or to help. And there are no antonyms for this word. Our next word is stern. Stern is an adjective, and it means not kindly or gentle, harsh looking. So someone who is stern or can be described as stern looks very serious. They're not joking. They don't look kind. They might look a little bit mean or even angry. The example sentence says, the officer gave them a stern warning. So just imagine there are some children doing naughty things at a playground and a police officer saw them, and the police officer gave them a stern warning. Maybe very seriously he said, don't do that. So that sounds stern, right? It's different from don't do that, hey, please don't do that. It's more serious and harsh sounding, like don't do that. So they're not joking. You can tell that they're not joking. Another example here, you can see the mom is telling the boy no. Maybe he was doing something bad, like trying to eat the toy. So the mom said in a stern way, no. It's not the same as saying no, don't do that, no, that's very kind. But when something is stern, it's not kind. It's harsh. Some synonyms are severe and firm. And antonyms are tender. Stern can also be used as a noun. It has a different meaning now. It's just the back end of a boat. That is the stern. For example, you can climb the ladder in the stern. So when we talk about the stern, we're talking about the back part of a boat, like this. This is the stern of the boat, and the front of the boat is what we would call the bow. Synonyms are rear, and antonym is the bow. Our last word is vacant. Vacant is an adjective and it means not used, filled, or lived in. So something that is empty is vacant. And it can also be without thought or expression. The sample says this bus has no more vacant seats. So maybe the bus is totally full of people and there's no more seats. So we can say there are no empty seats on this bus. Here we can use vacant as well to describe somewhere that is empty. People are not living there. So I can say this house is vacant at the moment. It's empty. Nobody is living there. Here too, you can see there is a bathroom and there are 4 different stalls in the bathroom, 4 different toilets, but only this one here is vacant. It's empty, so nobody is there. For the second definition, where it says without thought or expression, you can think about when you are really, really tired and you cannot think anymore. Maybe your face has no expression on it. Then someone might say that you have a vacant look on your face. It looks like you are not thinking anything. So we can describe your face or your expression as looking vacant. Some synonyms are empty, unused, available, open, and blank. Antonyms are full and occupied. And that's all for this video. We went over the Vocabulary Workshop Level Orange Unit 2 words. Thank you so much for listening and see you next time. Bye!